Hearth fire to dawnlight. Welcome to Forfelliness Belysning illumination from the ancestors, guiding your path today.
Every day, someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder disappears, shattering a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them.
Good morning and happy Tuesday to you. I hope this week is going just the way that you were wanting it to go. As always, I want to start off by saying thank you to all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. Your acceptance of our message is beyond human appreciation. But more importantly, the further distribution of the message and of course the blessings are immensely appreciated. So thank you for those of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. For those of you who haven't yet, today is the day. Tears Day, courage. It represents your next step. So be sure to hit that button, ring those bells, make sure that you get notified of each and every show, each and every weekday morning and Wednesday nights for Sportsmo. For those of you who are hearing impaired, you may have noticed in the previous screens, we do offer closed captioning, so be sure to check that out. The short link is there. It's also on our website at akumedia.akulfhednar.com. Those of you who'd like to join the chat this morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you find us, by all means, feel free to join us there. Ask your questions, pose those pieces, and we'll make sure that we can find you an answer. As always, huge shout out to my friends and my family at New Reality TV, newrealitytv.com, the streaming channel dedicated to offering you a plethora of spiritual perspectives that can hopefully resonate with you and give you direction, maybe give you guidance that you can move forward on your path to your destiny, whatever that happens to be. Today's show, of course, is sponsored in part by Trinity Road websites for every hall, every clan, every warrior band needs its longhouse, a place where voices gather and stories endure. Trinity Road websites build that hall in the ether, where your message stands strong against the winds of time. Begin the journey. Check out our website, akumedia.akulfhednar.com/sponsors. So be sure to check them out. Click on the link, find something to decorate the home, and a part of those proceeds will go to supporting our mission, so check them out. Today we're talking about the drum of Midgard. And one of the things a lot of people have asked me about when we're talking about being, before we're actually born to the physical form, and we're still in our in utero, in our mothers. What is the first of the senses to really begin to acknowledge? The first sense that you feel in your life is the idea of pressure from outside. And the reason that's identified by my ancestors as being the first of the many senses is that it offers this idea when we talk about pressure from externally, pressuring on the skin, on all the pieces, essentially that's what hearing is, right? So we're going to think about the first sounds that we hear, first sounds that are actually registered in our brain are simply pressures against the eardrum. And so the first sound we're going to hear is our mother's heartbeat. And those sound waves are going to permeate through the body, and they're actually going to kind of bathe us in this sound, in just a, mom's very calm, very relaxing, melodic heartbeat. The drums of Midgard, when we're thinking about that, when we're putting that into a kind of the forefront of our thought process, we're thinking about creating a rhythm, a melody, just that even keel. Now, one of the things that my ancestors have taught me now, when we talk about our aura's border, remember that? Nice and even, slow, steady. These rhythms create within us a harmony. And that's what we're talking about today here. We're talking about the drum of Midgard, the rhythm of Midgard. And what does that mean? What does that look like? Why should we even care? As we get so wrapped up in our everyday life of just a hustle bustle, hurry, move around, get things done, deadlines, one of the things that most often than not kind of returns us back to a state of calm is that slow, methodical rhythm, the heartbeat of our mother. It's super important that we recognize that, because as we look for ways on how to kind of calm down, how to wind back down, one of the best ways to do that, of course, is a drum. Now, many people have come to me and say, well, I can't afford a drum. I really can't. One of the things you'll note, for those of you particularly who have small children, a drum is not necessarily required. Okay, pots work really well. Empty coffee cans, Tupperware bowls. Tupperware bowls are great. There's a plethora. What is the 1 gallon milk jugs when they're empty? Very much create a resonance within them that kind of creates that vibration, that kind of creates that wave, that sound wave that we're listening to. So it's super important that we kind of embrace this idea of just simplicity, of feeling again this resonance, these vibrations that help us to kind of really kind of recenter, refocus our life. Now, when we are conceived, once the spiritual entity is bonded to the physical entity within our mothers, we find that there is a singularity that exists within the newly forming brain. There's a singularity in that there in the beginning, we really don't know that there's anything outside of us. That's just us. Everything we see, we feel, we hear in those earlier days of the brain is simply sounds that is us, is what we're making. We don't realize that, of course, the rhythm is outside of the self. That will come along. That will come along a little later. once we realize, most often than not, what typically is going to kind of create the division between there and here, us and them, is this dual heartbeat. Once our heart begins to beat and we have a rhythm of our heartbeat that is, although maybe in sync with, it is separate from our mother's heartbeat, her breathing. As she takes in breaths of air, the lungs are filled, and the lungs are exhaled. That all creates sound waves that travel through her to the unborn child. And so we begin to recognize a duality of existence, us, them. Now, we've experienced this before, so this is nothing that's new. When our spiritual entity was formed originally, and the molecules came together in such a way to create this thing called a consciousness, that consciousness existed in a singularity. I would have thought that all the experiences that comes with this energy, all those experiences were my own. I would have thought, hey, I did that, or I saw that, or I felt that, whatever. When in fact, those memories, that imagery, that intellect was bundled with the energy that was bonded together to form my spiritual consciousness. That spiritual consciousness would then go on to discover duality, in that there were others within the realm that were providing me with energy of their experiences, of their memories, right? I could see, feel, I couldn't create my own new emotions, but I could certainly recognize emotional energy. I just couldn't put a context to it. And it's not until later, after I have a physical lifetime, or I can recall my physical lifetimes, do I begin to kind of have this experience of, oh yeah, I remember feeling that way. I remember being that, affected by that, influenced by that, whatever the case. So it kind of sets it a little different. But in the beginning, again, we form in a singularity. Everything is within us. It is just one thing. And then as we grow and we begin to take on other experiences, other imagery, other emotional memories, we begin to have this thing. We split into this thing called duality. Duality is the us and them. That's going to reoccur, of course, in our physical lifetime. Originally, in our physical lifetime, while we may have a duality, we may have already accomplished duality in the spiritual realm. Now we're kind of refocused back to a singularity as our brain begins to form, and our consciousness then is bonded to that physical form. So now we're back to a singularity. And as the heartbeats, the breaths, the sounds of voices, all of those sounds kind of reverberating through our mother's body into us, we discover again this idea of a duality, a dual existence. It is in those days that we take the most comfort. While we are learning and we are growing, and of course our bodies are being kind of constructed as we go, our mother's heartbeat, our mother's breath sounds, those commonalities, that rhythm of our lives is established. And it's established deep within our bones, deep within that DNA, so that when we are needed to be comforted, when we really need to kind of wind back down, get all that stress and anxiety and stuff out of mind, we can come back to that sound. And our sounds, those sounds is what kind of returns us to kind of our just normalcy, if you will. All right. So super critical that we understand that this drum of Midgard, as the legends have it, the drum of Midgard was to establish a rhythm of life. Now, my ancestors would go on to believe that this drum of Midgard would form the waves of the ocean. It would create the weather patterns. It would create the seasons. So everything then fit into this drum beat. And so that's how critical it was to them, and that's how critical it should be to us, is reestablishing a pattern. Just that rhythm of life, rhythm of growth, rhythm of evolution. All of these things come in season. I'm always reminded of the rune Yura, where Yura talks about seasons and how everything occurs in our lives for a particular reason and only for a certain period of time. That reason and season for these events are to teach us, to help us to grow and learn and evolve. And so that's why it's very critical that we understand this passage of rhythmic time, right? So super important, all those parts that kind of make this baseline existence helps us to kind of reestablish that. And that's what's so important when we talk about anxiety and panic attacks and all of these overwhelming emotions. Yes, they can be overwhelming, but when we get back to the basics, when we reestablish that pattern, that rhythm of our lives, we can find peace again. All right, so this morning, as always at this time, and this morning I'm going to do it on time, we draw what is referred to as the runes. Now, my rune cloth is kind of beat up, but our runes. Runes are just simply tiles. Now, the thing about the runes that we need to understand is that right now, as we are stirring our bag and beginning to roll our fingers through the different tiles, what's going to happen is the gods are going to kind of nudge our finger towards a particular rune. Now, in my case, I think the gods are tempting me with this one. And so, now, when we draw a rune, we've drawn, and I'm covering the backside here, so we've drawn a rune tile, very little rune tile. What we're still allowing, by just keeping it face down like this, is we're allowing the gods to time, based on our question, to alter the backside, to alter what rune, what stave is available, what's going to be produced. And anything is possible right now until we turn it over, until we display it. And then we have kind of carved it in stone, if you will. So, as we turn it over, this morning's rune, Ehwaz. Ehwaz is a very good rune to have today. It is the rune kind of prosperity, and says that in this case, today's rune kind of represents the idea that we're going to obtain something. We're going to kind of draw something in, something that's very important. I don't know what that is for you. I have lots of hopes for me, who knows? But it's important to understand that the gods have given our question kind of some time to consider the answer before ultimately revealing whatever it is that's on the rune. So, today's case, Ehwaz. Ehwaz, of course, for those English letters, that equates to an E. Ehwaz, of course, being the rune of prosperity. And by drawing that rune today, it's simply the gods telling us that look for something that's important in your life that you're going to draw in today. You're going to really pull in that valuable thing for you. All right? So be sure to keep your eyes out. Something important is coming into your life today. So don't know what that is. Don't know what that is for you. I am hopeful for me. All right. I need to take a very quick commercial. When we come back from commercial, I want to talk about how we can use the drum of Midgard in our everyday life today to reduce anxiety, reduce that anxiousness, kind of get back to some semblance of peace in the mind and body, and move forward with our evolution. We'll be right back after this quick commercial.
The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
NewRealityTV.com.
Welcome back, and I also want to say again thank you to Trinity Road's website. Remember that every hall that you're going to encounter, every clan, every tribe, particularly the warrior tribes, needs a methodology of personal expression, of personal identification. And Trinity Road's website is one way to go about doing that now. Many will say, oh, but they're a particular monotheistic practice. That they are. But it matters really not what name is on the idea. The idea is that we're drawing our focus to a particular channel that we can then communicate with whatever named gods you use, whether it be like mine of the Norse with Odin and Rhea and the Frigg and Balder and Thor, or whether it be Zeus, Apollo from the Greek, whether it be the Creator, whoever you may call to. It's a matter of focusing, and that's really what we need to kind of work at. Not as much what name is on it and all of the things associated. It's the focus. All right. So today we're talking about the drum of Midgard. And the drum of Midgard, of course, looks like somebody woke up. The drum of Midgard, of course, is that way of essentially building a rhythm in our lives, reestablishing that slow, intentional rhythm, and to help us discover our path of comfort within the mind, within the body. One of the things I very much have always loved about drums, particularly handheld drums like the one you see behind me, this one creates an amazing amount of resonance, right? So you get this reverb, if you will, coming through the air into the body, into the soul, of course, into the mind. And it helps to reestablish that heartbeat, that very first sound our conscious brain really recognized. Right? So we heard our mother's heartbeat, and it established our references in the world that we were now existing in. So super important. And super important that we understood the value to that, right? So we recognized that this rhythm was important. And that the more relaxed that rhythm was, the more calm that rhythm was, certainly the more advantageous it was for us. So today's exercise, when you get a moment, and it only takes a moment, sometimes a simple heartbeat pattern drummed upon your body. Again, that's sending that vibration through your body, and you're recognizing it. Of course, your brain is going to register the sensory input. It's going to feel that rhythm. It's going to help us to kind of re-calm back down. Okay, right? So that's really the idea. And again, creating resonance, some form of resonance, whether it be with a drum, whether it be with a milk jug, whether it be with a Tupperware bowl, whatever, right? All you're looking for is that vibrations in the air, right? So anything works, even a countertop, anything works to create that vibration in the air and help us to reestablish our path to comfort, to peace. Yesterday we spoke of breathing, and in that we were actively seeking peace. Well, today we're talking about the drum of Midgard, which is how we can reestablish that peace within the mind, just comforting down. There are plenty of resources on the internet where you can find actual heartbeats, and those heartbeats are wonderful for just kind of helping us to refocus, recenter, kind of gather our thoughts, push out those things that are trying to influence us in one direction or another, and actually come to the realization of that peace. So for you, I would ask, if you're kind of a little high strung, worried about things getting a little wild in your life, take a few minutes, sit to yourself, and just get that heartbeat, whatever it is on, Just let that rhythm resonate within you. Feel it. Feel it. Feel your hand tapping your body. Feel your body receiving that tap. Feel it vibrate all the way through your body. Just kind of get your mind to recognize that rhythm. We can slow things way down. We can start finding some comfort. We always talk about the cognitive space. This is one way to kind of minimize the influence, the emotional influence into that cognitive space by simply returning us to normal. All right? So I hope this helps you today, and I hope you embrace the world of Tyr today, who represents courage and justice and equality and fairness. He was certainly one of many faces. He was also a warrior and fought honorably. He was recognized across the board as being a very honorable individual, which is why he was fair and just in his justice. So follow up with that by all means, but be sure to give yourself some time today to just get that rhythm back. Just take some time with the rhythm, and your anxiety will slowly begin to dissipate and go away. And then you can focus on the things that you want to focus on, changing that perspective. All right? So I wish you the very best Tuesday, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, where we will embrace the god Wotan, or Odin as he was later known. And so we'll look at wisdom and experiences. So hopefully we will see you there, and we will look forward to that. All right? So embrace Thursday. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Love and light.
Watching Ulfhednar's Belysning, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska Ulfhednar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.